Alright, we got, get into the focus there. General Order number 6. What is that? The request for emergency assistance from Federation citizenry demands unconditional priority from Starfleet personnel. Such personnel shall immediately respond to said request, postponing all other activities. So, General Order 6, pretty straightforward. The request for emergency assistance from the Federation citizenry demands unconditional priority from Starfleet. So we have a natural disaster or an interstellar calamity or any number of 100 different possible scenarios happens, and it involves a significant number of Federation citizenry who Starfleet must immediately do everything possible to prioritize and effect a response to that scenario. The large-scale earthquakes or an asteroid hitting a planet, a moon blowing up, that kind of stuff. But it could also be something more mundane as a passenger liner under distress. Ship's broken down. There's life support issues. They're under attack by pirates. So that's kind of covered by a couple other general orders as well. So the tenant here makes perfectly good sense as part of Federation, being the policeman, environment, EMT, everything that can be brought to bear to assist the citizenry in question should be done as promptly as possible. And it means, so if it means breaking off your whatever it is you're currently doing, you're supposed to do that. Now I can imagine that there's some contradictions to this, that there are some scenarios that potentially prevent you from immediately breaking off from what you're currently doing and rushing to the aid of this Federation member state and or its citizens. Being the first thing being conflict. If you're engaged in conflict with a foe and you run away to go save somebody who's having problems, well, that's laudable, but you're putting your back to the enemy, risking your ship and crew. And I know there's a general order in here somewhere that deals with that, so it trumps General Order number 6 at that particular situation. So as soon as the opportunity presents itself, you would then respond. Then there's an episode from the early Star Trek series that keeps popping in my head, and this General Order 6 fits to some degree in that category, and it shows an example of Captain Kirk actually circumventing General Order 6 or putting it off even though he's not supposed to, and it's the trouble with tribbles. Everybody who's anything is ever familiar with Star Trek has probably at least heard of the Trouble with Tribbles episode, and the crew is carrying the Enterprise is carrying this hybrid seed that's desperately needed on a Federation planet or a member planet, colony, something. The people are facing potential starvation, and it's these hybrid seeds that's going to solve the problem. And so the ship's got a bunch of storage containers on board, and it's then transferred over to this deep space station temporarily, which I never quite understood. So either was delivered, the Enterprise arrived to pick up the supply of seed to carry it to onto its destination because it had been brought there by another ship, or the Federation or the Star Trek the crew for some reason beamed it off of the Enterprise into storage at the station, and then was going to transfer it back to the Enterprise to finish the journey. I'm not quite sure on all that, but I know that a merchant comes along, a trader, and it's not Mudd. I don't have the right book because here it is. Cairo Jones, who is short, pudgy man with apple cheeks and a mop of gray hair. He's actually not a very Mudd-like character. He's not a terrible trader who's out to break all the laws, but he's the one that introduces the tribble. He found it on a planet, and he didn't know about its prodigious replication process, a reproduction process, I should say, nor did he totally be prepared for the outcome of what would happen when a number of tribbles got unlimited seeming supply of special hybrid seed, and just how many of them would replicate as fast as they did. But there was also Klingons on board the station, and there was somebody, a Klingon agent in disguise, and it turns out that Kirk's suspicious of the Klingons showing up at the station in the first place. He's not sure that they're there to interfere with this seed rescue, or this whatever it is, or something else. He then discovers that they did accidentally discover that tribbles absolutely pick up on an individual's vibe. So if you're an angry, aggressive person, the tribble is going to respond in a negative manner, as opposed to if you're a happy, pleasant, well-fed, properly morally adjusted Federation citizen, the tribbles are going to respond in a positive manner. And it's through this unlikeliest of detectors, they determined that this individual passing himself off as a human is actually a Klingon who is trying to sabotage, if I remember right, I think he was trying to sabotage the delivery of the seed in order to weaken the planet so the Empire can lay its hands on it or something. You'd have to go watch the episode, because I'm probably hashing it pretty bad. But the general census there is the same thing. Captain Kirk was supposed to move heaven and earth to get that seed, and the administrator in charge of it kept badgering Kirk about doing this, but Kirk had become sidetracked by the rival, the Klingons, and then suddenly the crisis of the tribbles, which then moves to an even bigger problem, because now he can't complete General Order 6 as it was supposed to be, because the tribbles consumed all the seed. At the end of the day, the Federation diverted another starship with another load of the seed, and the planet was saved, and the population was food supply was secured, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of opportunities from a role-playing game standpoint, using the General Order 6 as justification to pull a Federation ship out of exploration mode or out of patrol mode to respond to 100 different possible crises. All the attack of all the squirrels. Squirrels are attacking the colony. Oh my God! And they turn rampant and rabid, and we need something to deal with it. Bring the massive stun phaser banks of your starship over here so we can stun the whole planet. Just saying, right? So, there you have it. General Order 6. Till next time. Keep your phasers on stun.